Today we have Rick Allen with us today from Target Specialty Products. Rick, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you came from and how you got into this.
All right. You know what? I've been in this business for 41 years now, and
Oh
that
my gosh.
is kind of cool, and I'm pretty lucky. But I actually went to school. I was at Virginia Tech for agronomy. I wanted to be a golf course superintendent. I did it for 1 year. I looked around at the health and the backs of some of these guys that have been around for a while. I go, not doing it. Sold the golf courses, converted over to pest control, and here I am. I'm morphed. I really have had two jobs in my adult life, which is kind of cool because I really, I'm a science guy and I like talking to people, and it's right up my alley. So it's been a wonderful ride.
Wow,
Fantastic.
I was not expecting 41 years. So you started when you were like 5, 6 years old?
Yes, that is correct. That is no, it's just been great. I'm surrounded by great people, so good stuff.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So what is Target Specialty Products known for? Like, what's your guys?
Well,
Target,
I was Residex for 30 years, right?
Okay.
So Residex was bought by Target, and then Target just became, together. They were kind of like mid to west. We were kind of like mid to East Coast. And then when we got together, it was a national thing. So now it's a much bigger thing. And I'll tell you what, 2019 COVID hit and we had new computer systems, two companies coming together. Oh my God, it was like chaos. 2019, I know I want to forget about, but so it's just I think we are the largest distributor in the United States, and we're up in Canada, and I think we deal in Puerto Rico and the Bahamas and stuff like that. But
wow.
We've just got, I think, 46 branches now, and it's rocking. They've got so many things going on right now, and my head's spinning. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and where are you located? Where are you specifically?
I'm in Long Island, so I'm responsible for, just talking about the turf background. But then I got my certification as an ACE, just to have that behind my name, because I felt like I knew as much as an entomologist knew. So I got that certification, one of the first guys. But I'm on Long Island, and I am responsible for New York State. I said, guys, please keep me New York State. Don't do Connecticut, Pennsylvania, because the rules change, and New York is an animal. As you know, you're in New York. You've got to know your rules. And I have really become an expert in the rules. And generally, people call me all the time for interpretations, or they'll ask me to call the DEC because they don't want to call the DEC. So I do that all the time. And a good rapport, Andy, I would say in New York, you probably have a good rapport with your DEC person, and that is so important. I would recommend that to anybody. Don't be afraid of them. Just work with them. They're pretty good.
So you would be the first person in history then that calls the DEC and says, I have a friend that needs to ask this question.
Well, they know.
Actually be honest.
They know, because it was past where the DEC, I felt like I think their job is to protect the environment. I really do. That's their thing. And for a while, I thought they were just raising revenue. They're just waiting to catch somebody doing something wrong. It's different now. Different people are in there, and it's really to protect the environment and get the knuckleheads who just aren't paying attention to the rules on purpose, to cut corners and whatnot. So I think it's there's a good thing going on between the DEC and the New York Pest Management Association, or you don't have to be a member, but
sure.
Business. So you got
sure. Now, are most of your customers a certain size, or do you have like a niche?
They're all over. There's the bigger guys are getting bought up, Andy. We know that. We see what's going on. Oh my goodness. I've had relationships with people for such a long time. I grow up in the business with them, and all of a sudden, boom, and now they're gone. And that's what's tough. But I'm dealing with mom and pop. I get calls all the time, insect IDs and interpretations, and how do I handle this job? And it's mom and pop to, now, I have guys that with 100 technicians, let's say, but, we'll see how long that lasts,
Yeah, for sure. Now, is it mostly point-to-point shipping? Do people pick up things at a depot? How do you usually?
A little of both.
Yeah.
A little both. And what we're finding out is that there's so many products out there, Andy, that it's hard, and you have 46 branches to keep all products in all warehouses. It's very hard to make money in distribution. You have to be very efficient. So you just can't. So you have to prioritize what products you're going to have in the warehouses. And we just built two major warehouses, one in Charlotte, one in Salt Lake City. And if ABC products, if we don't have the C's and D's, those will come out of our Charlotte for the East Coast anyway. And we try to just get as efficient as possible. And it's relatively a new concept that we're doing. So it's not perfect, but we're getting there, which is kind of cool. Yeah. But we have our trucks We have guys who trucks. I like when we deliver on our trucks because there's that personal relationship between the truck driver and the people who order. And then we UPS all the time, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
common carriers.
Yeah, you probably have more operational control over your own trucks than the UPS guy that might roll it to our office.
Correct. And they throw stuff around. And believe me, you try to get money back from UPS for a broken piece of equipment that costs $1,500, not happening. They'll say it's packed incorrectly.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we've received more than one bucket of rodenticide that had burst open inside of.
Yeah. And then UPS never takes responsibility. I haven't seen it anyway, Mike.
No, for sure. So what's new or on the horizon for Target?
Andy, I'm going to tell you what, there is so much going on. It is just, I wish I was 40 years old right now because it's pretty exciting. Yeah. We put those warehouses in. They have a whole online platform that we're working on right now. We had one. It was kind of funky a little bit. It wasn't working all the time. But this one, supposedly, it was supposed to be out in March. So I'm not sure, but it should be pretty soon. But whew, man, it looks good. And that's going to be online because you have to compete with the online guys. Yeah. And when I hear about guys buy online, and I feel like we're so involved with the associations on a local, regional, national, what do we sponsor? The Women of the Year at national, all this stuff costs money, and we are so involved in the industry. And then someone goes, oh, well, you know what, for $5 less, we bought it online. I'm like, really? So we're dealing with that, and we will compete with that because we're going to have this online presence. So, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, are you going to be at the Spring Fling coming up on April 30th?
You bet. One of my favorite meetings. Awesome. And you know what? You get to a point in your career and it becomes like a reunion. I remember, I don't know if you were there, but it was a Spring Fling maybe 2 years ago. And we hadn't, because of COVID, we weren't doing meetings. And that was one of the first ones. And it was so good to see everybody. It was great, man. And everybody's coming over, hugging, and all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool.
So will you be staying for the after hours? I know we got first rounds on the house after hours networking.
That's the only reason I'm going, actually.
Okay.
No, isn't that a great idea, though? It's the camaraderie kind of thing. And Andy, if you don't know, we're trying to put together a golf outing and try to get it right near, if not the day before. Oh, no, not the Spring Fling, the one that's in the fall.
The fall, yeah.
And try to get something right there. We're working on that right now where you have camaraderie. And I was always for that. Did it for 20 years, putting the golf outing together. Backed off. John Phil is kind of doing it now, but I'm helping out. And that's camaraderie so that the next day people can talk about that. And then you have these relationships with people. And it's wonderful to see people, getting together and knowing each other. Someone from Syracuse and someone from Long Island, and you can talk about different things. And how do you do a carpenter wrench job? And, that's, it's just great.
It is. And I found at a lot of these events, I've learned almost as much in between the classes as during.
Absolutely.
Networking and that.
Yeah, just go even national shows. I try to get a cocktail party going. We have the spot, the manufacturers help us sponsor a cocktail party. And what I like to do is say, hey, here's a guy from Syracuse and here's a guy from Long Island, or here's a guy from Baltimore, and get them together. And I'm telling you, more stuff goes on at that bar. People are relaxed a little bit and they get to know each other. It's really good to see because you go to the meeting the next time and then these guys are talking, they're hanging out together. It's kind of cool.
So you're an amateur matchmaker as well.
Don't tell it. Don't tell my wife.
Don't tell anybody. So we look forward to seeing you there. If before that, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, most of my customers, they know my email, they know my phone. They know I'm 24/7, man. I had to identify an octopus in Manhattan in somebody's fireplace at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. My wife goes, what is going on here? And it was an octopus. I said, the guy have a fish tank? Yeah, he does. How about an octopus? That's an octopus,
wow.
Yeah, they have my phone number, 516-238-5259. But anybody, I'm basically 24/7. Do a lot of IDs for people, do a lot of technical expertise stuff. So
and
cool.
a little bit of octopus identification.
There you go.
Anything.
That was one of the weird ones. So
awesome. I love it. All right. We'll see you down there at the Spring Fling, Rick.
Okay, Andy. Thanks for doing this. This is a good thing to get people out there and let's get New York State Pest Management Association rocking.
For sure.
All right, man.